Good evening, everyone. Would you all please rise to call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Givney.
We have a helper this month.
Who's our helper?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Outstanding. Good job. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the February regular meeting of the Greencastle School Board. All right. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
Nope, no adjustments to the agenda this month.
Outstanding. Moving on to recognitions. Mr. Givney.
Mr. Roberts. We have quite a few recognitions this month, so everybody bear with us.
All right. Well, good evening. I have Brooklyn Jackson here, and she is a kindergarten student at Ridpath. And so she was recognized for our character trait of the month for kindness for the month of February. So Miss Schlatter, her teacher, wrote, "Brooklyn is such a sweet girl, but has an even kinder heart. She goes out of her way every day to show kindness to others. She helps others when they need it, often going out of her way to be a helper. She loves making others smile and often thinks and plans out ways to share kindness with others. It is a joy to have Brooklyn in class and at Ridpath. If you can help me congratulate her."
Good evening. This is Griffin, and he is in kindergarten at Deer Meadow, and we are excited to celebrate Griffin tonight. Griffin is always kind and goes out of his way to help others in the classroom. He notices when others are struggling, and he steps in to help. The other students look up to Griffin, and he is a leader in the classroom. Congratulations. So our TZ Student of the Month for February, representing the character trait of kindness, is Jackson Basler. And she is a student in 3rd grade in Mrs. Enlow's class. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Enlow to talk about her nomination.
I chose Jackson because of her kind heart and compassion for others. Jackson is incredibly kind and thoughtful, always asking others how they are, if they had a good day, etc. She is thoughtful not only to her friends, but also to teachers and other staff at TZ. She always makes sure to include others so that no one is ever left out of games, during recess, or group work. And Jackson also gives the best hugs.
Kelly had to go get them. She'll meet you down there. Yep.
Hello. How are you, sir?
Hi, this is Conrad Marshall, and he was nominated for our Student of the Month for kindness as well. Conrad shows kindness to others every single day. He gives positive affirmations to people in the hallway. His classmates really enjoy hearing the kind words that he says to them. He was nominated by his classroom teacher and other 6th grade teachers as well for being kind and always saying really positive things to everyone. So congratulations to Conrad.
Good evening. Come here, buddy. Hi, Jay. I'm very pleased to represent both Brenda Meyer and myself this evening for nominating you, Jay, for the kindness recognition. What else can I say? This boy goes above and beyond at all times. Jay goes out of his way to be kind and sincere with his friends, his teachers, and coaches. Every morning he makes sure to say hello as he walks by, and sometimes late because we talk a little bit longer. He is a positive entity in the school, has outstanding school spirit. He is sincerely helpful with NHS, tennis, and with all of his classroom teachers. I would love to have a school full of Jay Glotzbachs. Congratulations, Jay.
And Mrs. Munoz. Yeah. Okay, we'll jump. Yep. Mr. Hanson.
We had 4 students that were selected for the Indiana All-State Honor Choir, 2 at the middle school and 2 at the high school. One of them couldn't be here tonight due to a prior commitment, Kiara Seaman. But I'd love for these students to introduce themselves and share what grade they're in before I share more about the honor choir.
I'm Josie Tischer, and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Ella Tischer, and I'm in 10th grade. I'm Emily Gray, and I'm in 12th grade.
So as a part of Emily and Ella's audition, they had to travel to Plainfield High School on a Saturday, along with a couple other students that went to audition. They had to do prepare a piece in Latin, about a minute and a half's worth of material. They also had to sight read a brand new piece of music that was brand new to them and every other student there. As a part of Josie's audition, she had to prepare one of the pieces that she performed at the Indiana All-State Middle School Honor Choir, and then she performed a sight reading as well. Really proud of these students and all their hard work, just really excellent. One other thing I wanted to make note, this past Saturday we had our ISMA Solon Ensemble State for the choir, and we had over 25 students attend for choral and piano. We received 14 gold ratings and 1 silver rating, so give it up for these students.
Yep, we'll Coach Tribbett. And then we'll jump back to band.
This year was the IHSA's inaugural year for girls wrestling in the state of Indiana. We had 6 girls compete all year and compete at sectionals. We had 3 regional qualifiers, Gracie Means, Cadence Cotton, and Aurora Roberts. Aurora Roberts placed 3rd at regionals, which advanced to the state tournament, earning her top 16 in the state. I have Aurora Roberts.
Yep, now back to Mrs. Munoz.
All right. This evening we have Student Representative Tai Ishikawa with us as an outstanding senior member of the high school band. We've had a lot of activities throughout the year that Tai has been an outstanding leader with, between our football games and basketball games and everything that we do that is visible here at the school, but there's a lot more behind the scenes that he represents and he is part of with the school. He auditioned for All-State Orchestra and performed at the IMEA convention. And coming up March 16th at Purdue, he auditioned into the All-State Honor Band and is one of the top 10 trumpet players selected in the state, which is a huge accomplishment. There's usually 80 to 100 that try out for 2 bands. And I always say he's trying to follow in Cam Benedict's footsteps. He accomplished everything Cam did and more, and we really sincerely appreciate your leadership and really proud of the work ethic you have that I know all of our students look up to. So thank you, Tai, and I'm really proud of all of the students in the department, grades 6 through 12. We're doing great things, and thank you for your support.
Okay, that was great. That was a heck of a group. Good Lord. All right. Moving on to nobody for any. Okay. Public comments. I assume somebody that wants to talk to the board. It doesn't say yes or no. So.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt.
My name's Jeanette Price. Josiah, Jeremiah, and Joshua mother. I don't understand why just there ain't a black person on y'all board. And mostly everybody spoke. It wasn't. I ain't see one black kid. My son Josiah was going to the middle school, and they was charging him all the time with his computer, an old computer. And one time they end up telling my son to loan his charger out to one of the students, and I end up had to pay for it. And my thing is this: Josiah got an IEP, so he don't he don't remember and stuff like that, and it's known in his IEP. So in high school, kept calling me about Josiah, about how he acting, and I'm telling them, y'all know he got IEP. Oh, we didn't know he had IEP. Like this, something that y'all should know. And my thing is, since Josiah graduated out of the high school, out of the elementary, I always knew that they was gonna be picking at him, my other son, far as with the computers. Now all of a sudden, Jeremiah computer always messing up. After Josiah graduated out of the middle school. So my thing is, my kids know how to use a computer. They ain't gonna break y'all give them old computers, and they shouldn't have to pay for old computers. My son got PCs at the house. Apple tablets. So y'all giving them these old tablets. Well, I'm telling I could buy my son his own computer for schoolwork only. The school said that I couldn't do that. It's gonna cost a lot of money to put all the apps on my own personal computer for my kid. And for football, my son had to pay for football. So I'm paying every day, thinking like they have to pay for a ride every day, and they taking my money when it was a one-time fee. So one time I end up coming up there and I say, so how you keep a account of who all paid? And she was like, it's only one time fee. Well, you've been taking my money all this time. You not notice that? And I ain't get my money back. But I told her she can keep that. But my thing is, it's not racial balance out here, and it's like a lot of times to me the black kids be getting picked on. Like my son was on the football team, Jeremiah, and they automatically thought he was her son. And I'm telling them like, first of all black people kids do not look alike. My son is Jeremiah, her son, right here, Emily. They thought my son was Emily. They don't look nothing alike. And my thing, I had to tell her like, I know who kid you talking about. That's not his mother. Me and her, I know her, but my son is Jeremiah. And one of the other teachers had to say, yeah, that's Jeremiah. You talking about Embry. And my thing is, it's like a lot of nitpicking with colored kids. Because my son at that school, they called me up there a couple of times when kids called my kid out their name, called them monkeys and all that. And my thing, I don't think they discipline the kids like they should. And my thing is like, why they don't bring the parents together to get to the bottom of what's going on? And it's none of that up here. And I think that the computer thing should change because y'all got old computers. Like Chicago always update their computers. They don't charge the parents for the computers. Like how could a teenage kid break a computer? It's crazy. I got a big old house I live in. I got my own business that I run. But every time you turn around, I'm getting a letter saying my son did something to a computer and he got high expensive stuff at the house. Y'all can come over there and look. Like I don't buy my kids cheap stuff. But my thing is why can't y'all give the kids new computers instead of letting them keep computers year after year and a tech person charge her 15 for a charge and charge me 25? Like where they do that at? Shouldn't it be the same amount? And I shouldn't be charged for a charger that the teacher told my son to give to a student, and the student ain't had the common sense to give it back to my son. That's crazy. I just don't get it.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda. which consists of meeting minutes of the annual Board of Finance meeting, January 27th, 2025, the regular board meeting minutes for January 27th, 2025, allowance of claims, financial report, and personnel parts 1 and 2, which are posted. Mrs. Romer.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
As usual, you'll have a couple payrolls we're going to go through first. Okay. The first one was dated January 3rd, 2025. Total payroll of $440,362.45. And as usual, we've got those taxes and we've got retirement along with those payrolls. For that payroll, the total was $129,384.34. The second regular payroll was dated the 17th of January. Total payroll of $423,918.47. And those payroll taxes and retirement, $123,812.10. And guess what? There was an extra one in January. There were 3 payrolls. I said 2, and there were 3. I've already moved on to February in my mind. Total payroll for that third payroll dated the 31st was $480,867.24. And then the payroll taxes and retirement was $151,455.05. Then next in your packet, you're going to see a list of prepays for January 2025. As you look through that list, did anyone have any questions about any of the prepays for January? No? Okay. Total prepays for January 2025, $836,117.42. And then you've got the list of claims dated for today. The list is a little shorter this month because as we talked about last month, I went on vacation. So we had to do the claims a little earlier. And then we're going to have a second claims list that you'll see in March. So the list for tonight is a little shorter than normal and maybe a little bit less as well. So total claims dated today, February 24th, is $418,389.73. And we'll move on to the fund report if you're ready for that. Balance in education fund as of January 31st was $4,065,396.64. Balance in operations, which is about 4 lines below that, would be fund 300, is $886,241.42. If you go to the last page, you're going to see the balance in all funds as $10,736,554.85. Then we've got the depository statement that's going to show that our banks and our funds are all in balance. And you'll see looking at this report that we are indeed in balance, which is exactly where we want to be. Next, we've got the transfer report, and as usual, we've got some transfers between banks so we can, pay bills, payroll, that type of thing. We also have that transfer for school lunch, as usual. And then, of course, we have the education ops. The total transfers for January was at $969,446. And then finally, we've got lists of expenditures for bond 2021 and bond 2022. We did have a few things in actually in January for 2021. So our total expenditures in that bond now are $34,160,634.65. And then as you can see there, we did not have any expenditures in bond 2022 in January. And pending any questions, I'd like to submit for approval.
So I would like to note one other item is we paid off our pension debt obligation, so we did have another chunk payment, and so that debt is wiped out. So moving forward, the funds that we designate for that will go to operations fund. So a little bit of help there.
Do we want to mention too that we're going to go ahead and we're going to disband the 250 fund? Correct. You'll see 101, 200, 250, 300. That 250 will no longer have any balance at all, and we're going to go ahead and take that fund out.
Retire and declare as dormant. So it served its purpose. Just wanted to know that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work for that. All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
None.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion will carry. Thank you, Ms. Roman.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving on to reports. Ms. McPherson.
Yes, this school year we have been working in our K-5 with our math adoption committee. And so I've invited 2 of our teachers, Mrs. Hayes and Mrs. Hertenstein, to come up and tell you a little bit about our adoption process and a little bit about why we decided to go with Ready Math.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting Courtney and I to come share a little about our curriculum committee. We had the opportunity to review 3 different curriculums, and that allowed us to hear from representatives from the companies, pilot lessons from each of them in our classrooms, as well as talk to schools that are actually teaching it. And that was a huge benefit to hear about teachers who are in the classroom who've used the curriculum for a few years already. So that was really helpful. And through that evaluation, like Mrs. McPherson said, we've chosen the Ready Math. We have 4 components that we wanted to share about why this was our choice. First of all was the conceptual understanding that the Ready Math does. It does a nice job of visually giving information to students. The workbooks were inviting to classrooms. Teachers seemed to feel the layout of the lesson plans were really well planned. There were 4 sections to each one that gave slow release to the students so that they could feel like they had ownership on what they were doing. Several of the teachers said the kids came back excited. They were enjoying the lessons. They had good communication, a lot of questioning and answering going on in the classroom that helped engage the students. The second thing we noticed was the built-in differentiation or support for the students. They had a lot of ideas that could give teachers a chance to work at the lower level as well as advance the students. Their online platform had sections that gave teachers hands-on things to work on. For example, like building a clock using a paper plate, doing a lot of those more hands-on things again that I think are really important. The other area that I felt that was part of the differentiation and support was there was a newsletter that you could print off to send home to parents. So they were aware of the concepts we were teaching during our lessons, as well as games and activities. And then there are also reports you can do as well for parents. And so those were things that we found really helpful within the lessons too. And another feature we really enjoyed was the strong alignment to Indiana-specific standards. They have an edition written specifically for Indiana that also includes all of the national math standards, but it's very specific to Indiana. Because our district already uses the iReady assessment platform, those 2 will merge together. So all of the data from the reading and math testing that we're already doing will go into this program. And so that's my next point, is the integrated digital and print component to this, that all of that data comes together so it can be used for differentiation for students to be able to enrich and remediate, as well as just continue on with the curriculum. There's a nice mix. You can use as much or as little of the digital platform as the teacher, grade level, specific student would want. It can go either way. And that was a really strong point to me, that some of the older grades were much more interested in some of the digital platform, where maybe, kindergarten, they've got to get the pencil in their hand first and go from there. The digital platform has diagnostic assessments, adaptive learning pathways, data-driven insights to help teachers tailor the instruction for each student. And the platform is user-friendly. We already are using this platform to access all of the testing information, and it's all housed inside one platform. And I was kind of surprised and impressed to see that. I figured it would be a separate entity, but it's all housed together. And it is just very user-friendly. So we really, this was a great experience to get to use all 3, pilot all 3 programs, get to talk about the finalists with other teachers from around this area. So we thank you for giving us this opportunity, and we believe that Ready Math is a really strong choice for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
How would you guys say the rigor is for it? I mean, is it something that's
It's
going to
gonna be
push us.
high. It's gonna be.
Excellent.
We've talked about that the first year, especially. It may seem like really challenging for our
Good.
students. We're gonna have to just pull them along with it, but we're excited about that.
Excellent. Good.
I like that.
Thank
Right.
you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
And then I'm also going to invite Mrs. Clements and Mrs. Eldridge up. We have an update on our strategic plan and their goal that they were working on in terms of Teacher of the Year.
Are we done doing the complaints from the parents?
Yeah, public comments is over, yes.
Yeah.
So one of our goals that we have in our strategic planning is to incorporate Goal 4 as one of our goals, if we can remember that. And it had to do with honoring our teachers and our staff a little bit more, incorporating them into feeling a part of the team. Oh, okay, so thank you for it. I was struggling here for a second. And so we are going to kind of highlight that.
Yeah. So as part of that goal number 4 of our strategic plan, we one of our action items was to create a Teacher of the Year award for Greencastle Community Schools. And we use the Indiana Department of Education rubric and scoring guide so that when our nominees go to the state level, they'll already have a lot of that same information in their nomination packets. So we have a timeline that Selena will talk about, but basically staff members are going to nominate who they believe is a deserving colleague from their building, and each building then will have that one representative that we will bring to you as the school board to determine the corporation Teacher of the Year nomination for overall.
So on the next slide, we have our timeline. Our building principals have sent out the form to all certified staff. A letter we will nominate after we get our sort of GMS. I will nominate a teacher, and each building principal will nominate a teacher that has been selected by their peers. We will send that to the central office. Then you will be presented with it by the 28th of April to let us know who the overall Greencastle Community School Corporation Teacher of the Year is. However, you guys get to keep that in your pocket for a little bit, and we get to announce that at our end-of-year teaching ceremony, where we plan to do a breakfast and then have each building representation come up, and we get to say wonderful things about them. I believe we're also going to add years of service on there as well, and so kind of having honor people at Parker. And then we will submit the application. The application is a bit lengthy, so I think in year 1 we're going to give that teacher the option if they want to continue the lengthy process of the Teacher of the Year nomination to the state. It's a wonderful honor to be selected amongst everyone in the state. So that's our timeline for this first time for Teacher of the Year for our corporation.
And even though this is the first year we've done it, we've already had over 30 nominations, and they continue to come. So we're excited.
Great.
Do you have any questions about that?
Standing.
No. All right, thank you.
Great.
And that is all.
So I'll share more about the date and everything, so that way you can get that into your calendar if you can attend.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? All right, cool. All right, moving on to Mr. Givney.
Yep. So I just have a few brief updates this month because we've obviously wanted to spend a lot of our time highlighting our kids and our programs. But just as you can imagine, the end of the first half of the legislative session was last Friday. That was Friday was the last day for essentially a bill to advance to the other chamber or be dead in the chamber. That's not to say that bill can't or language for bills can't reappear magically in other bills, but nonetheless, it's really kind of the time to where if something's going to end up being passed this session, moving forward, we're going to start to see the number of bills really dwindle. There's just a few that I kind of want to bring to your attention. I shared previously that the House, under Indiana House Republicans, you can see the initial budget shared, and it's roughly a 2% increase for each of the next fiscal years, but that's kind of misleading because they also have baked into that tuition support our textbook and curricular materials payment, that $160 million appropriation. So obviously, I think we're all expecting less dollars this go around. But you know, the magic number I've heard is really 1.7 to 2.2 each year. But we'll kind of see where that stands. On the Senate side of things is obviously the governor's property tax reforms. The Senate took that on first. Essentially, the House took on the budget first, and then flip-flop and worked to kind of get to the end. But the original Senate Bill 1 that was released, that was a governor's plan. And you might recall what that looked like to Greencastle specifically in fiscal year 26 was roughly $550,000 loss to our operations fund, and then it ballooned to 630 in year 2 and 770 in year 3. So that would have been catastrophic and devastating. Obviously, we've been fiscally conservative and responsible the past few years, and so we could weather a storm, you know, for a short bit of time, but sustaining something like that, we would have to make drastic changes. Obviously, we saw a second version of that, and it looked the pain wasn't near as bad, although there's still a little bit of pain. So the net loss to us would be in year 1 roughly $140,000. And again, these things can change a lot between now and the end. But overall better. You know, we've had conversations as a team that with that, you know, we're going to look for ways to tighten our belts. We're going to scrutinize purchasing decisions because we don't want to take a step backwards. Again, we're in pretty good shape with where we are, but we don't want to jeopardize our long-term health. So those are two really big things to really kind of to pay attention of. I know that the governor has come out and said that, you know, he wasn't really happy with the changes that the Senate leadership made, and you know, he's prepared to veto anything that kind of isn't his plan. So we'll have to kind of monitor that as to how it impacts Greencastle. House Bill 1064 is an athletic transfer bill. So, you know, it used to be you can't transfer primarily for athletic reasons. Well, it sounds like that day and age is coming to an end. And that would be one of the reasons that you are allowed to transfer. House Bill 1500 would make major changes to the teacher appreciation grant. You might recall now we received like roughly $57 per student for ADM. And then we were able to distribute out those dollars amongst all teachers rated effective or highly effective from the previous year. The new model looks much different than that, to where it may only impact a teacher or two in your district. But then there are strings attached to that, to where after year 1 and year 2, it's funded through a grant, which you apply. Year 3, you would have to put that money on the base, and essentially there would be no more money coming from the state. So we'll kind of monitor that. And then the final one I'll just kind of share about is Senate Bill 373 when it comes to summer school. We already know that they're making major changes as far as what they're going to reimburse schools for summer school. The priority is obviously literacy in grades 2 and 3. And so we've really had to kind of review our approach and plans to that, as far as, you know, what we're going to receive reimbursement for. And to be completely honest with you, we don't know how or what will be reimbursed even just yet, because they really haven't fully determined that. They're looking at doing like a fee reimbursement versus in the past we received money per student. So there's kind of a lot to kind of left up in limbo. So next week, the legislative session will resume, and I'll do my best to kind of keep you updated and keep you informed of any potential legislation that's concerning to us, so that we can reach out to Representative Baird and Senators Clark and Bray. So just a few updates for you.
Okay. Hope for the best on that. Thanks for all your hard work with that, Jeff. Good Lord. All right, moving on to old business, which we have none. New business, we have an approval request for K-5 math curriculum, Ready Math adoption.
Yep, so I think you heard from our team earlier. We just presented that a little bit earlier in the show, but in your board packet, essentially is kind of a cost breakdown of that. And we were able to, or Becky was able to get them to sharpen their pencil a little bit more, so to get the cost down a little bit. But we would like to move forward with this recommendation, so that way we can work on lining up any professional development and we can get materials in hand early.
Any questions on that?
So this is for a 6-year cycle?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep, and for K-5.
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will carry. All right. We have an approval request for a 2024-25 assistant physical therapist contract with Carla Bartlett.
Yeah, so just in an effort to continue to provide services to our kids who need PT, we have a contracted agreement that we would like the board approved, so we can continue to maintain services.
Okay. Is it the same thing we've been, pretty much the same thing we've been on? I don't see any changes in it? Okay. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any? Motion will carry. Lost my voice for a second. I have approval request for an updated Dell proposal for Chromebooks at Greencastle Middle School.
Yes, so in January, you had approved our proposal for our Chromebooks. Upon further investigation, Mr. Hill and we discovered that there was a change that we needed to make with the proposal. It didn't include everything that we thought it included. So we need to just make that updated proposal there.
It was a roughly $5,000 cost.
Yeah.
The original proposal was a non-touch and
Has the
Oh, for touch screen.
Okay, touch screen.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will carry. I have approval request for overnight DECA Career Development Conference in Indianapolis, Indiana, March 2nd through the 4th of 2025.
yeah, so once again, it's another awesome opportunity. Just over the past few years, our DECA program has really blossomed. We've had a lot of students perform really well in the competitions and represent GHS in our community in a strong fashion. So there's another opportunity for them to do so. Their sponsors, Mrs. Jadell, has submitted all the required paperwork, and we have the proper chaperones in place, and there'll be permission slips taken care of in order for this trip to take place. It just, since it's overnight, it requires board approval.
Okay. I see some chaperones I know on there.
Mhm.
All right.
44 students. That's impressive.
That's pretty nice.
Very nice.
Very, very cool.
I move to approve.
All right. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will carry. Have a good, safe trip. All right. I have a approval request for some donations. Looks like we have Gary and Linda Hubert at Greencastle High School Music Department for $500. Flora Brothers Painting to GHS Athletics for $3,000. Attic Self Store to Greencastle High School, Greencastle Middle School FFA for $500, and AA Septic Service to Ridpath Primary for $500. Pretty self-explanatory. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We will gladly accept those donations. Thank you very much. All right, I have an approval request for the second reading of the Neola policies, volume 37, number 1.
Yeah,
Okay.
so these were shared with you last month for first reading. So this is the second reading and adoption. And in order to be compliant with updates to the laws, I would recommend that the board approve these updated policies.
Okay. And you were going to read those out loud to us, every one of those?
Line by line.
Line by line.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, hopefully we're not going to do that this evening. All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will carry.
Yeah, you might notice. I'll just kind of point it out because it's a newer thing. But you might recognize, obviously, you will recognize that we have a new board policy for AI, artificial intelligence. That's something that I know a lot of our secondary teachers have really been and administrators have been working through. But obviously, that's something new that we need to address, and we are working on obviously educating our students and educating our families on how best to use AI because it can be a great tool, but certainly there are ways in which it should not be used for learning.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, very good. Do we have any other business?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, I would like to thank the high school counselors to going down to the middle school today and explaining scheduling to the 8th graders. I know my 8th grader had a much better understanding of how important it was to select his classes for next year. And I really appreciated the time for them to go down and explain it to him because I know it's all new to all of us. So
it's a lot to really take on. And then the parent meeting is tomorrow.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be another good thing. I did miss one thing that I wanted to share is we do continue to work towards the school resource officer for GCSE. So I've been working with the district, school district attorney on a draft contract to run past the city in hopes of advancing this, moving this along with the city and GPD. But as a contingency, I also did have a conversation with Sheriff Ball about potentially contracting with the county if we're not able to move something forward. So I'm optimistic and hopeful that we will, but we are continuing to move that conversation along to bring a school resource officer to Greencastle.
Thank you for staying on top of that. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Personally. Okay, it's not an easy task. All right. I'd also like to say there was an awful lot of very good sporting events that occurred over the weekend. I attended as many of them as I could. It's very exciting. A lot of good things, as well as Mrs. M isn't hitting here right now, but her pep band for the basketball games. She had some special helpers that were in there and some returning students that played. Sounded very phenomenal. So
awesome. They've even played at the middle school, which I think is kind of neat because that's not typically
other schools are very jealous.
A middle school experience, so that's a neat thing.
Yeah, I've gone to many middle school games with my daughter playing, and you don't see the pep band in there. It's pretty cool to see that. So kudos to her and her team for doing all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Everything everybody's doing is Greencastle schools are up and coming. It's a very nice place to be.
Glad to see that was continuing.
Yes. Okay. Anybody have anything further before we can move on? All right. Hearing nothing, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Appreciate it. You all have a great night.